Greetings and welcome to our daily Devo for Saturday, the 27th of May. Today, almost another month in the book. Busy weekend for a lot of folks, being Memorial Day weekend. Others of us just do what we always do. We're leaving Capernaum after 4 days there, and today we're going to one of the cities mentioned in yesterday's devotion, Chorazin. Chorazin, actually at a national park, the subtitle on this one today. John 14, 1 through 4 is the passage that's mentioned. Verse 2 is quoted, "My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you?" Chorazin was one of the three towns in which Jesus did most of his miracles, and they reference Matthew 11, 21, and 22. Yet the gospel writers don't elaborate on even one of them. In spite of that, this town has something special to teach us. It offers an architectural picture Jesus seized upon to console the disciples' troubled hearts when they became concerned that Jesus would leave and forget about them. If you have ever felt forgotten by God, the picture in this story is for you. Although Jesus was speaking to them in Jerusalem, he painted a picture that transported the disciples back to their home life in Galilee, where people lived in insulae houses. You remember, that's a open space in the middle, like a big patio area, and the rooms are around the edges. You walk out your door and you're out into that patio. It's very much the way they do things in Guatemala and places like that, and I quite like it, but not really something made for winter. Although Jesus was speaking to them in Jerusalem, he painted a picture that transported the disciples back to their home life in Galilee, where people lived in insulae houses. These were built not for single nuclear families, but for the large multi-generational extended families in which people lived in first century Galilee. This accounts for the dominant feature of these living compounds, a large central courtyard. Here, the extended family could cement relationships and work out problems while the kids played and communal meals were shared. This open-air courtyard gives the compound its name. Insula is a Latin word meaning island. The courtyard was like an island surrounded by a sea of smaller roofed rooms. These smaller rooms met a second design need. Each nuclear family in the larger group needed private space for personal storage, intimacy, and sleeping. Each of the small, narrow rooms that darted off the perimeter of the insula had just one door that opened into the central courtyard, providing both connection to and privacy from the extended family. We need to add one more element to this picture. Such a compound was dynamic. Each time a son within the extended family got married, another room was added to the perimeter of the insula for him and his bride. That is why places like Capernaum and Chorazin exhibit such a tangled labyrinth of wall lines in their archaeology. Although Jesus wasn't in Galilee, his words in John 14 paint the picture of Galilean insula home life. The Father's house has many rooms. Jesus had to leave, but he was not trying to get away from the disciples. He was going to add another room. I love this picture. He was going to add another room to the family compound before coming back to take them to live in that new place. His departure would lead to reunion. Of all the words Jesus could have used, this image said it best. It still does today. When we feel as if Jesus has left us all alone, when we feel the duress of separation, we can turn to this illustration. He has gone ahead to build the room in which we shall live. It's the powerful picture that reminds us we are not abandoned or forgotten. I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. I had heard long time ago, we we like to talk about our mansion that we're going to get, and that's a Western picture for sure, isn't it? I get my own house to live in. It'll be great because it'll be removed from neighbors. No, we have that picture that we're getting golden streets and big mansions. What we're getting is our own room in the house of the Lord. Our own room in the house of the Lord, where we walk out and we have fellowship with each other. Friend and I traveled to Mexico a few years back, Oaxaca, Mexico, and they put us up in what we might call a motel, but this was the setup. You'd walk out your room and there you were, other people around, sitting at the same kitchen table, breakfast table together. Trees growing in that courtyard, grapefruit on the ground from the trees. Really something. I loved it. I loved it. And I am so appreciative of this picture painted today, that that's what Jesus went to do. Every time somebody's born again, a new room gets added to the house. Isn't that a great picture? That's such a great picture. We get 3 questions today. When are you inclined to worry that Jesus has forgotten you? When are you inclined to worry that Jesus has forgotten you? Question number 2, how does this image from John 14 bring you peace today? How does this image bring you peace today? One of the things when I travel, and I'm excited to go, but the longer I'm gone, the more what I'm anticipating is getting back home. Getting back home. That should be the motivation for us each day we're living in this world. We're away from home, but that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. Question number 3, and that should bring you peace to answer question number 2. How does this image from John 14 bring you peace today? Question number 3, how could you use this word picture to comfort others? In a whole host of ways, that's for sure. The prayer for today, Lord Jesus, at times I feel forgotten. But this picture reminds me that with you, I am never out of sight, never out of mind. Please use this to comfort me, and let me use it to comfort others who feel isolated and abandoned. Blessings to you today on this Saturday. We have a missionary with us tomorrow at our church, Ismael Noriega. He's a great brother. He's a lover of the Lord, and he's committed to God's call. And his life, his wife, his 3 daughters, they all minister together there. If you're able to be with us in the morning, tomorrow morning, 9:30 is our service. You will be welcomed. Blessings.